All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks. My weekly picks in the world of the NFL. And, excuse me, week number 5 was a week to forget for me as far as my picks. It's one of those rare occasions that I finished with a sub 500 record, and also didn't get things started on the right foot for here in week number 6. Last night I picked the Philadelphia Eagles to win by 2 touchdowns over the New York Football Giants, but it was the Giants, excuse me, who came ready to play, and they dominated their brethren from the NFC East. Excuse me for one moment. But with that said, we've got some good games on tap all day Sunday, as well as a double header on Monday night. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 6 in this NFL season. Now, things are getting kicked off over in London on Sunday morning as you have the 3-2 Denver Broncos, excuse me, set the clash with the winless New York Jets. And when I say winless New York Jets, they're the only team in the NFL that is still yet to taste victory so far this season. Well, what we've seen from the Jets is sometimes they're competitive and sometimes they're just getting run off the field. And last Sunday at home against the Dallas Cowboys, excuse me, I expected the Jets to be much more competitive than what they were. Now the Jets have to go up against a Broncos team that's definitely feeling good after they went on the road last Sunday and handed the Philadelphia Eagles their first loss of the season. So if you're Denver, you have that defense that is starting to come into its own, going up against an offense that like the Jets. And of course, the Jets want to run the football. And I think Denver wants to take that away. And I think Denver wants to go out there and make Justin Fields beat them with his arm in the pocket as opposed to his legs. You've got talent on this Jets defense, but they're still trying to get on the same page with defensive coordinator Steve Wilks. That's a bad combo, especially when you're going up against a team like Denver. The Broncos come into this contest favored by 6.5 points over in London. I like them by 2 touchdowns, basically 30-17. Now, you've got the 2-3 Arizona Cardinals traveling to take on the 4-1 Indianapolis Colts. And for Arizona, they took the term beating yourselves to a whole nother level last Sunday afternoon as they collapsed against the Tennessee Titans. And I want to see how this Cardinals team is going to be able to respond to that. It's one of those where easier said than done, but now they're going up against a very game Indianapolis Colts team, a Colts team that plays solid defense, a Colts team that runs the football, and a Colts team that knows how to get after you. Bad recipe for the Cardinals as they're looking to get back on track. I look at this game right here. Indy comes in favored by 6.5 points. I like the Colts by 4, 24-20. Now down in South Florida, you have the 1-4 Miami Dolphins set to host the 3-2 Los Angeles Chargers. And for Miami, what can you say? This team simply cannot get out of their own way. While for the Chargers, they got off to that quick start. They won their first 3. Now they just dropped their last 2. For Miami, I'll tell you like this. It's one of those where I think, and I talked about this on this platform earlier this week, I think Mike McDaniel's days are numbered as the Dolphins head coach. And honestly, a loss right here is not going to help his situation, especially if it's a bad one. I look for the Chargers. I know that they're dealing with injuries right now, but they've got to find a way to get back to basics. And what the Chargers were doing when they won their first 3 games of the season, they were running the football. They weren't turning it over, and they were playing efficient D. And I think The Lightning Bolts get back to all three of those categories in this one. I like the Chargers 27-16. Now you've got the 3-2 New England Patriots traveling to take on the 1-4 New Orleans Saints. Both of these teams got big wins last Sunday. We saw the Patriots go to Orchard Park and get the win over the Bills on Sunday night, while of course New Orleans got their first win of the season against the Giants. Both of these teams want to keep that momentum going, and it starts with the play of their quarterbacks. Of course, Drake May for New England, and then Spencer Rattler for the Saints. The Saints, they are very competitive, and the bottom line is they're going to keep being competitive under first-year head coach Kellen Moore. However, I think New England is starting to get that juice again. They're starting to feel, and Mike Vrabel is starting to turn things around. Thus, I like the Patriots 24-19. Now, in an AFC North battle, you have the 1-4 Cleveland Browns traveling to take on the 3-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh comes into this contest favored by 6.5 points, and they have an opportunity to really begin to distance themselves from the rest of the pack, if you will, in the AFC North. The Steelers come into this contest fresh off of a bye. I like their defense going up against this Browns offense, of course, with rookie quarterback Dylan Gabriel. This is one of those games I think the Steelers really start to show and extend their sea legs. They're favored by 6.5. I like them by 10, 27-17. Now you've got the 2-1 Dallas Cowboys traveling to Charlotte to take on the 2-3 Carolina Panthers. Dallas comes into this contest favored by 3.5 points. They've got to be feeling good after their dominating win, if you will, last Sunday at the Meadowlands against the Jets. Now for the Cowboys, they get to face a familiar friend in Rico Dowdell. Dowdell was the Cowboys' leading rusher last year, left in free agency to sign with the Panthers. We saw him have the big game against Miami last Sunday, and of course, he wants to see what he can do again. I look at this contest right here. A lot of people are favoring Dallas. I totally get it. Dak Prescott is playing some good football, and of course, what we've seen throughout Prescott's career is typically he plays better against teams with losing records. I look at this Carolina team. They're 2-3. They've won both of their games at home. And it's one of those things when you see this Carolina squad, little by little, they're getting better. Little by little, they're starting to put the pieces around their young quarterback in Bryce Young. Say what you want to say about Dave Canales' bunch, but they are fighting hard. And I like Carolina in the upset here, 27-24. Now you got the 3-2 Seattle Seahawks traveling cross country to take on the 4-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. And for Jacksonville, of course, they got that big win on Monday night to come back over the Kansas City Chiefs. And definitely they want to build off of that. You look at this team, clearly this is the best that Trevor Lawrence has looked in his brief NFL career at quarterback. And of course, this is the most amount of talent that Trevor Lawrence has had around him as well. Seattle lost a heartbreaker last Sunday at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think in order for them to go on the road and get the win right here, Sam Darnold's going to need another big game. And on top of that, he's got to cut down on the turnovers. I think this is going to be a back and forth affair. I think this is going to be a good contest here. I know Seattle is favored by 1.5. They're dealing with some injuries in the secondary. I think Jacksonville takes advantage of that. And I like the Jaguars 23-20. Now in Baltimore, you've got the 1-4 Ravens set to host the 3-2 Los Angeles Rams. And of course, for Baltimore, the injury bug, and of course, the biggest injury for them right now, they're not going to have the services once again of quarterback Lamar Jackson. We saw the Ravens get destroyed at home last Sunday, courtesy of the Houston Texans, and I don't think it gets any better for them against the Rams. Los Angeles comes into this contest favored by 7.5. I like them by 13, 30-17. Now, in a battle of 1-4 teams, you got the Tennessee Titans traveling to the desert to take on the Vegas Raiders. And of course, It was last week in the desert in Arizona, where, of course, Tennessee picked up their first win in shocking fashion as they erased a 21-3 deficit to the Arizona Cardinals to get the walk-off win 22-21. So, of course, if you're the Titans, you want to try to find a way to build off of that. The Raiders are a team, they're trying to find their way in their first year under head coach Pete Carroll. Not going to help things offensively that Brock Bowers is expected to be out with a knee injury. I'll tell you like this. Geno Smith is a veteran quarterback, but Geno Smith cannot afford to keep turning the football over at the rate that he has been so far for the silver and black. It won't be pretty, but somebody's got to find a way to win this game. And I like the Raiders at home 23-19. Now at Lambeau, you've got the 2-3 Cincinnati Bengals set the clash with the 2-1-1 Green Bay Packers. And of course, Green Bay comes into this contest fresh off of their bye. The last time they took the field, they had that tie a couple of weeks ago on Sunday night against the Dallas Cowboys. And, after the first two games, Green Bay was looking like world beaters. In the last couple of weeks, I don't know. I think the Packers need to get back to their basics. They have to play efficient football, and they have to take advantage of what they're dealing with the Bengals right here. A depleted team to the point that they had to go out there and make the trade with Cleveland to pick up veteran quarterback Joe Flacco, who is going to start in his first game for Cincinnati. Not a good combination if you are the Bengals going up against this Packers team, a rested Packers team at home. And I like Green Bay by the score of 31-19. Now, in a battle of 4-1 clubs, you have the NFC South leading Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the NFC West leading San Francisco 49ers. Two teams that have really been hit with the injury bug so far this season. The Niners continue to win with quarterback Mac Jones, while Baker Mayfield at quarterback for the Bucs is arguably playing the best football of his NFL career. This game, I think, is going to come down to which team has the most healthy bodies, especially at wide receiver, because both of these teams are dealing with a litany of injuries. Tampa Bay comes in favored by 3.5 points. I think that cover two gives Mac Jones some problems in this one, and I like the Bucs 23-19. Now on Sunday night, we've got the 4-1 Detroit Lions traveling to Arrowhead to take on the 2-3 Kansas City Chiefs. And you look at the Lions, I know that they lost both of their coordinators from last year, but this team is continuing to get it going, especially on the offensive end of the field. And I want to see how this Lions offense is going to be able to put some stress on this Kansas City defense. Like I said before, we saw KC lose that heartbreaker on Monday night, courtesy of Jacksonville. And let's see what the Chiefs can do to get back on track right here. You got Aiden Hutchinson, and that's going to be important because his ability to rush the passer, is he going to be able to put that stress on Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes? We've got to wait and see. Two of the better quarterbacks in the NFL going at it with Patrick Mahomes and Jared Goff. And of course, Mahomes has done a lot of things in his NFL career, but in the head-to-head matchups, he has yet to beat Jared Goff. I think that trend continues Sunday night. I got Detroit 27-24. Then we got ourselves a double header on Monday night as we got the Buffalo Bills uh, fresh off of their first loss of the season, traveling to the ATL to take on the Falcons. And of course, Atlanta comes into this game fresh off of their bye. They're a 4.5 point underdog at home. And I think what the Falcons need to do, they've got to start fast. They got to run the football and take some of that pressure off of their young quarterback and Michael Penix Jr. On the flip side, you've got the reigning NFL MVP at quarterback in Josh Allen. You simply got to find a way to slow him down, which is easier said than done. Like I said, Buffalo comes into this one favored by 4.5. I think it's going to be a tight one, but I still like the Bills 24-23. Then, of course, the second half of that Monday night doubleheader, we've got the 2-2 Chicago Bears traveling to take on the 3-2 Washington Commanders. The Bears come into this contest fresh off of their bye, but you have to wonder if we're going to have another game in store like we did last year. Remember, this was a back and forth affair. The Bears took the lead late, and then, of course, that Hail Mary at the end really sent both of these clubs in different directions last year. Washington got on a roll, and before you blink, they were in the NFC Championship game, while the Bears struggled for the rest of the season. And of course, they let go of their coach. I like the Commanders' defense in this one going up against the Bears' offense. They're still trying to find their way under first year head coach Ben Johnson. And then Washington is a completely different team when they have Jaden Daniels back at quarterback. The Commanders come into this contest favored by 4.5. I like them by 6, 23-17. So, folks, those are my picks for week number 6 in this National Football League season. And as always, I want to take the time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, I will give you that follow in return. And the same goes for Instagram, and you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.